Hello, everybody. This is Noah McClure,
This is Miester.
and today we have episode 3 of the Concrete Clappas.
We have our first guest today, Leif Russon. We were trying to wait like 5 or so episodes before we brought any guests on, but I wanted to see how it went today, so we're trying it out. Would you like to introduce yourself, Leif?
Hello, I'm Leif Russon. I am a good friend of these two boys and a current student at Boise State University, Idaho.
And tell us a little bit about what and why you're studying, Leif.
Well, I'm studying psychology, and honestly, I don't really know if it's for me. I was very invested, but after taking a couple classes, it kind of sucks. It's super lame. Everyone's like kind of pretentious, and I kind of want to go into something different, maybe architecture, but they don't have that at Boise State. So
Yeah.
if I want to do something like that, I'll have to transfer. Which
Transferring is
isn't too big of a
always
deal.
scary.
Yeah.
Do you know where you might want to go?
I don't know. They have architecture programs at the community college here in Boise.
I'll do that.
And also at College of Idaho. Or, no, University of Idaho, not College of Idaho.
College of Idaho is expensive, right?
Yeah, College
A
of
little
Idaho's-
bit.
Sorry, I was getting distracted with muting this extra mic, and I didn't. And you're talking about what were you gonna transfer for?
Architecture.
Architecture.
I love houses. I
Really?
think they're so cool. And I want to design them. I've
But-
always liked that.
That doesn't seem too far off for you. That seems like something you could definitely do.
Seems relatively on brand, Leif. Although I will say, one of my favorite parts about going into friends' houses is if it's old as fuck, complaining about the architecture. There are some goofy ass decisions that have been made, like bathrooms and like closet spaces and like random roofs that like dip down or whatever. You know what I'm talking about.
Oh, yeah.
Like the goofiness of old houses.
Something else about old houses, they're made of wood. And it looks really cool a lot of
Yeah.
the time.
Yeah.
Sometimes the goofy decisions really add a lot of character.
For sure,
Yeah.
for sure.
Curved wood needs to come back in style.
What's curved wood? Is it just like
Just like
when you curve it?
just features of a house that are curved instead of square. And
Okay.
then making it out of wood.
Just makes it a pain in the ass for the engineer. The architecture can have as much fun as they want, but the person
Yeah.
actually making it happen.
expensive.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, on Concrete Clappas, we talk all things video games, and we know that you're really into video games and you like video games. So the first question I asked on Concrete Clappas to Noah, I might be making this up, but we just talked about what our favorite video games were. So we have to ask you what your favorite video game is right now.
Right now,
5, 4.
my favorite video game has always been Halo. I've always been a big Halo player.
Yeah.
I love it.
But I also really have been playing a lot of those old school like Guitar Hero, Rock Band games.
Oh, yeah.
I love those games. They're so much fun.
Yeah.
Do they all have like different like because I know obviously Guitar Hero has like the guitar like controller or whatever. Do they have like different ones or like,
Well, in the games, you can have guitar, drum set, a microphone, and then a bass. So you can have 4 people playing.
oh,
Yeah.
fat.
And I love playing both the drums and the guitar.
But what's like the implement? Like is it a console or like on like a computer like mouse and keyboard or what's happening?
So the game that I play is on like an old Xbox 360.
I get you.
But like it was made for Xbox 360, PlayStation 3, Wii even.
Oh damn.
Back in the day. Now they don't make those games anymore,
Yeah.
but they have a version called Clone Hero that's on PC, which is really cool. I'd like to play it, but you have to have like all the right connections and you have to have the right instruments to play it, so I can't. So I just play it on my old Xbox 360.
That's fair. Yeah. No, I've been particularly obsessed with Cyberpunk recently. I don't know if it's one of my favorite games, but goddamn, I can sink some time into that thing.
Really?
Yeah. It's got like maybe a 70-hour long story mode, or like 50 or something like that. But I'm on round 2 right now, so here we are.
So it's changed since the devastating apocalyptic launch.
Yes, it had. Well, okay. I didn't get into it when everybody was saying it was shit. I only got into it when I heard some buzz that it got fixed. So I didn't get to experience all of the horrible, janky Bethesda-ness that it had for a while. But
Bethesda-ness?
Yeah. No, it wasn't quite the Skyrim copy that it was when I picked it up. But no, it's quite a bit of fun.
I do remember watching Noah play Cyberpunk for the first time after hearing about its release, like years after, because it released in like 2017, right?
Yeah, or like 2019, I think, or 2018, somewhere around there, years ago.
2020.
Wait, really?
Maybe 2021.
Really?
I'm going to do a little bit of research. All right, go ahead, Oliver.
Yeah, but I do remember hearing about the like alpha release and how bad the game was supposedly supposed to be, and then watching Noah play it for the first time, being like, "This looks sick." And then he let me play it, and it was a lot of fun. It's not like it's a huge game. It's like massive.
Oh, wow.
It's one of the biggest games I've ever like tried to play, and I just like, it's too much for me. But
it is a bit too much game for some people. Leif, you were right on the money. It was December 2020.
Okay. That's
So
what I thought.
Yeah, I thought it was a little bit older, but
Yeah.
that makes sense because it's pretty damn impressive for if it was like a 2017 game.
yeah, it's definitely like, especially for I can't believe consoles can run things like that.
Yeah.
Like there's so many times where I think about I've talked about you this before. There's so many things I wish this was a game, and Cyberpunk is a game that's like that, and it's crazy that they can put that much into a game.
Like the fact that somebody buckled down and made it exist.
Yeah.
Like all of the fucking work that took. So I know exactly what you mean. Like
Yeah.
these titles that just seem like too impossibly big to translate into something that works well as a video game, and then the magic happens. Like Baldur's Gate is a perfect example of that. I love Baldur's Gate.
Have you played Baldur's Gate?
I never have played Baldur's Gate.
Have you played Dungeons and Dragons, perhaps?
I've, like, tabletop?
Yes.
A little bit.
A little bit? Okay. It's the closest one-to-one that you could possibly get.
Okay.
And it's my favorite thing.
I remember hearing it. Did you watch Game of the Year awards at all?
I don't think I did last year.
I didn't either, but I just remember hearing the news and hearing that Baldur's Gate won and being like, "What?
Oh, yeah, I do
what is
remember
Baldur's
that.
Gate?"
Yeah, like what the fuck is that? Okay.
Baldur's Gate 3, I've never heard of number 1 or number 2.
Yeah.
You know, they were super old, like niche games developed by this creator called Larian Studios, and they were much more linear. And so it was basically like you were playing through a single story with the old D&D system mechanics. And for those of you watching who don't know shit about Dungeons & Dragons, they're on their 5th edition right now, and they're about 50 or so years down the hole in terms of development. So they've had a lot of time to kind of work and see what the community likes. And long-winded way of saying that the community didn't like the older systems very much, so they didn't translate into video games nearly as well.
Have you seen any, like, have you played either of the other Baldur's Gate games?
I haven't played either of them. I've seen gameplay from Baldur's Gate 2, though.
Does it look the same?
Not
or
at
does
all.
It look
It looks like if Rise of Empires was like World of Warcraft. It's weird.
That sounds cool though. That's like, I love games like, you know old school RuneScape?
Yeah.
Dude, the polygon-esque
Yep.
down tabletop. Does it kind of look like that?
A little bit. Yeah, it's kind of.
That's kind of what I was thinking.
Yeah.
Yeah. But no, that's cool. That sounds really cool. That reminds me, going back to Cyberpunk, we do. Have you seen Cyberpunk Edge Runners?
I have.
Have you watched it to completion?
I watched it to completion.
Oh my god.
Did you like it?
It was jarring, to say the least. I was not expecting like that much nudity and gore.
That's for sure, yeah.
There was a lot.
There
Also,
was a decent amount of cuck.
There was
I wasn't expecting really any of the last couple episodes.
Dude, it
The
got
last
crazy.
3 episodes
Goes from
had
scrawny
me
kid to
gripped
the
by
weirdest
the dick
looking-
and balls.
Dude, yes, dude. It's like, it's the perfect, really good story. And like, I I forgot what I was gonna say. Really good story.
It's just this perfect storm of like the aesthetic of cyberpunk and this love story on top with like this kind of Rage Against the Machine vibes. It is just a phenomenal masterpiece of storytelling. I love cyberpunk edgerunners.
I liked it because I can like cyberpunk-esque stuff, like things that look like cyberpunk, things that are cyberpunk. I like that I could experience that, but I didn't have to play cyberpunk.
Yeah, exactly. Because it can be kind of daunting.
Yeah.
I do know what you mean though about kind of like wanting that feel of something without really having to engage with it too much.
Yeah. Oh, is it my phone? That was my phone. Sorry, guys. There's a lot of...
Sorry, ladies and gentlemen. A little bit disjointed today.
There's a low humming fan noise that I've kind of been scrambling around trying to figure out, like, what it is. But hopefully it doesn't come through too bad on the audio. And if we don't figure it out this episode, we will next episode. Anyways, next subject. We'll talk more games. We'll go back to Leif. Why is Halo your favorite video game?
I grew up playing Halo. All of the Halo games I grew up playing, particularly Halo Reach, which is, speaking of like masterpiece of storytelling, Halo Reach has the best campaign of like any video game ever.
Yeah.
But I would play it with my siblings and my cousins and my next door neighbor and we would play all the time. So much fun. Thousands of hours in that game.
Halo is a blast. I've never been like super interested into the gameplay of it, but I did play I had this buddy in middle school, early high school who kind of like got me into it, and I would like go over and like, you know, play custom games on his couch or whatever.
Yeah.
But he got me super into the lore of Halo. And that shit's kind of nuts. I'm not even going to lie.
It's pretty cool.
Talk about a well-written story. The grand Halo timeline is not something to scoff at.
There's so many. I wanna get into the lore of Halo really bad. I want to get into Halo.
It's like getting into Dark Souls, though. There's just such a barrier to entry.
I think it's easier than Dark Souls, though.
Yeah,
Dark
a
Souls
little
is
bit.
because
Dark Souls is big.
You've played both, right?
I've briefly played Dark Souls. I haven't played very much of it, but my brother's really into it, so I know a decent amount.
Okay. I recently, last night, I got super into the story of Tekken. And it's nuts. It's actually so much fun, and it's so crazy. But stories in games are good, especially. We've talked about what were the story games we were talking about? We talked about a lot of Zelda. We talked about Mad Zelda.
Zelda is kind of elite in terms of story games.
Have you finished Tears of the Kingdom?
I have.
Did you like it?
I did like it.
All right, shit on me with Ollie. He bought it. He hasn't put it in his console yet. He hasn't touched it.
I bought it with my younger sisters, and I was like, "Oh, this will be cool." And then Mary beat it, and then I was like, "Okay, I'll play after you." And then I never played it, and it's back at home.
Didn't touch it whatsoever.
I have Marion let me take Majora's Mask.
Oh.
And I've been playing that right now.
That
it's
game's
good.
so fun.
Dude, it's so good so far.
It stresses me out, though.
I know. It freaks me out when you feel like you're doing good, and it's like 12 hours remain.
Dawn of the final
Dawn
day.
of the final day. Dude, it's spooky. It's a scary game, too.
I can imagine.
I can see how it would, like, freak you out.
You described it to me last episode where, like, it's just kind of this, like, super lively, like, street environment. Like, there's, like, shops and everything like that.
That was Ocarina of Time.
Oh, okay.
I explained. We were talking about Dead Worlds. Do you know he explained it to me.
All
Do
right.
you know what one is?
A what?
A Dead World?
A Dead World.
Okay.
Dead
You
World
can explain
game.
it.
So, think... What do you know about Dark Souls?
Everything's dead.
That's a dead world. Essentially, all of the shit that you're doing, that the story takes place in, is after, like, the grand timeline of everything. So you're kind of dealing with the aftermath of whatever civilization, whatever magic catastrophe, whatever the fuck happened before. So it's like dealing with this thing, essentially.
So kind of like post-apocalyptic, but it doesn't necessarily entail an apocalypse.
Yes.
Yeah, and we were just talking about. I love the correlation between. You called it a thriving world.
Yeah, these kind of very alive, like, energetic environments.
Yeah, we just talked about the correlation that Ocarina of Time brings between the both. Because you know how you go through the market to get to the Temple of Time. And
Yeah.
then you get the Master Sword and you come out and everything's dead.
Yeah.
And the correlation between the live market and the dead world was really cool.
It's freaky.
I know. It scares you, especially with the
Re-deads,
husk people.
they scream at you.
Ah.
That gave me nightmares when I was a kid.
It's because they scream at you and then they just like walk up to you and then they hug you to death. It's freaky. Bro,
Sounds
there's
spooky.
what's that other boss in Ocarina of Time that's like weirdly freaky for no reason? It's
Bongo's freaky.
Is that the gross guy?
No.
The, like big gross guy?
It's in the same dungeon though. I can't remember the name, but the freaky guy is like the white, gory hands,
dude.
and the long neck.
I'm starting to just think that Zelda is Dark Souls for kids,
Dude.
because that sounds like something that you would find as a Dark Souls boss. Like one of the most famous encounters from, I think it's Dark Souls 2 or 1, don't scream at me fanboys, is this thing called the Gaping Dragon.
Yeah.
And it's a dragon, but instead of having a mouth where you expect a mouth, the dragon is split in half, and where it's split in half, there's a bunch of teeth and a big mouth.
Oh my gosh.
It's pretty spooky. But
Yeah.
no, everything that you're describing makes me imagine Zelda as just this kind of Pokemon-esque Dark Souls.
So I found the thing that we're talking about. It's called a dead hand. This is what it looks like.
Ooh.
And hands come out of the ground and grab you.
Let me see the
that's
hands.
like,
And
that's
this
like some
thing-
SCP shit.
It attacks you when you go back in time and become a kid again. So it's extra scary because you're small and weak.
Super
Dude,
mega
yeah.
scary.
I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know like why they put that in the game. Like the first boss is cool, and there's cool bosses, but then they put like freaky things in there. And I'm like,
Well,
I don't want to play this.
Yeah, it's actually so scary.
And especially like, I couldn't imagine playing that as a kid. That would freak me out. Like being an infant and seeing that thing on your screen. Like, oh.
It's so weird how games, even if it's like this kind of like low polygon aesthetic of like, it doesn't look like something that you would see in real life and
Yeah.
get scared by.
Yeah.
It can elicit this feeling of fear just by like the environment and like the build up and all these things that are like, you know, kind of normally limited to like other medias or like movies and books and shit.
Yeah.
The
yeah.
music.
The music.
Dude, the music does such a good job. Dude, oh my gosh. Dude, the Ocarina of Time soundtrack?
That's a 10 out of 10.
Don't even get me started. Dude, I beat the, sorry. I beat the, you know the end credits song that plays?
Yeah.
Dude, I was listening to it again, and it was like, it teared me up. Especially when, who's the little girl at the ranch?
It's
like
Marin.
Marin. Is it Marin? You know when she sings Epona song? She's
Yeah.
like, ooh, ooh, ooh. Or wait, is that Epona song?
Ooh.
Oh, that's it. Yeah, sorry. That was Soto's Lullaby.
Yeah.
But at the end credits of the song, there's only most of the characters, they have like an instrument. When they teach you a song in your ocarina, they'll bring it out and they'll play the instrument. Like,
Uh-huh.
Zelda has an ocarina.
Yeah.
Sheik has like a little
Harp.
thing. But there's a character that sings, and for some reason they just like did it so good. And in the final credits, she sings a little bit, and it's just like,
oh no. Just that getting taken back to that moment by just this
Dude.
little sound bite.
dude, and it's like, oh, you see all the characters like dancing and stuff. Oh my gosh.
For a sculpting project that I have, we have to take a piece of music and articulate it into something abstract.
Yeah.
And my mind immediately went to video game soundtracks because, firstly, there's not a lot of lyrics in them. And secondly, they're really good about getting across a big point, like
Yeah.
with kind of like the feel, the emotion. And I was re-listening to the Hollow Knight soundtrack. I don't know if
That's so good.
I don't know if
I-
either of you have played Hollow Knight, but oh my god, the piano in the background just, oh my gosh, it takes me back.
I know I don't have very much experience in Hollow Knight, but I've heard Mantis Lord.
Mantis Lord is
a banger.
elite. High-key, sometimes I get more interested in the soundtrack of a game than the game itself.
Dude.
Sometimes.
Undertale.
Yes, Undertale is the best example
Oh
of
my
that.
gosh. Sorry, I interrupted you. You were gonna say something about Hollow Knight.
Just something embarrassing, I have to admit. I played the game and I beat everything except like the true ending.
Aw,
I got so close to
no.
beating that boss, but I never beat the Mantis Lords. I had my sister beat them for me.
Wait, what?
I like
Leif,
couldn't do it.
It's a rhythm game.
I know, but like
The
Mantis Lords
Mantis
are early
aren't you-
on.
aren't you
the
good at
Mantis
Guitar
Lords
Hero?
fight is literally just a rhythm game.
I
Aren't
couldn't
you?
figure it out, but then after I played the game a bit, I actually got good.
Okay,
So,
that's fair.
yeah.
That's fair. There's a thank God you didn't do Sisters of Battle. Once you beat the true ending, there's this thing called God Home that unlocks, and it's essentially like this. It's a boss rush. They just put all of them in one area,
Oh, yeah.
and you go through and you fight them one after another, and you have no time to heal or get resources or whatever. And there are quite a few bosses that were like not as easy or not as hard as they should have been according to the developers. So when they put them in the boss rush, they made them harder. And one of the bosses like that is Sisters of Battle, which is the harder version of Mantis Lords. It's essentially just all three at once from the very start.
Oh,
Because you know how they go 1, then 2, and then 3?
yeah.
Yeah, it's all 3, and it's way faster.
Hollow Knight is like. Is Hollow Knight. This is going to be a stupid question. Even though I've played neither of the games, is Hollow Knight like Celeste?
I
don't
think,
think so.
a little bit, and the fact that it's a Metroidvania, but that's kind of it. It's more like Cuphead.
Hollow Knight?
Yeah.
Okay.
Hollow
You
Knight.
played
I've heard-
Dead Cells?
I've heard. Yes.
Yeah.
You
It's
showed
like-
me. You showed
it's
me
a-
Dead
Hollow
Cells.
Knight is quite a bit like Dead
It's like if
Cells.
Dead Cells wasn't a roguelite.
Yeah. Yeah.
Dude, speaking of soundtrack, the Dead Cells soundtrack
Pretty good.
is nuts.
Subnautica.
I can play it on guitar.
Have y'all heard the Subnautica soundtrack?
I watched a dude play it, but I haven't heard the
Dude.
soundtrack.
It's a little bit more EDM than you traditionally find in soundtracks,
Yeah.
but I love it.
Oh my gosh, bro! I've been listening to the Tekken soundtrack. It's like so EDM. It's so good. There's a
Sometimes
scene. The very last boss in the most recent Tekken game, you get blasted by a rock from Earth into space, and then it's like falling down back onto Earth, and you're fighting on it. And there's
JoJo Part 2.
Dude. Have you seen JoJo's Part 2?
I have not seen Pillar Men.
Ah,
I've seen Part 3 and Part 1.
bro, Part 2 is so good.
But
You
then
have to watch
I
Part 2.
watched Phantom, whatever the fuck it's called.
Phantom Blood.
Phantom Blood, and then I was like, bro, where the fuck are the stands? And then I watched Part 3, and I was like, bro, this is dog shit.
Okay, the reason you hate it is because you haven't watched Part 2.
Yeah, that's what everyone told me,
You're
but I'm
mi-
like, man, this shit kind of sucks.
You're missing out.
Part 2's so good.
It's
I've
so
heard as
good.
much. Part 1 is just the epitome of JoJo's, though,
Dude,
for
it's-
me. Like, so much random stuff that gets
Part
thrown
4
in there
is
and
epitome
forgot
of
about.
JoJo.
Dude, Part 4 is so good. You keep like Part 3 is also really. They're all really good.
For their own reasons.
Yes, dude. If you ever like, because you were talking about how in your campaign you want to do a murder mystery.
Yeah, I'm probably going to implement that.
That's what Part 4 is.
That's the entire thing.
Dude,
Yeah.
it's so cool.
Damn.
It's so cool.
Part 4 is the guy who can erase time, right?
No,
No? Is
that's
that
Part 5.
Part 5? Okay.
Yeah. How far have you gotten into it?
I haven't picked up Part 5 since before you told me to finish it.
Yeah.
I haven't had the time.
I logged in and finally finished it, and then I watched Part 6. Part 6 is nuts. Part 6 is really good. Anyways.
The JoJo's brain rot.
And-
It's not brain rot, it's enlightenment.
Is it-
Y'all want to talk about Jujutsu Kaisen?
Have you seen Jujutsu?
No.
I really like it. Oliver hasn't seen it either, so I'm kind of the only person here who's actually watched it that has something to say about it.
Yeah.
It's good, but it's good for the same reason a lot of other anime are. It's not like super duper special. It's
Yeah.
just they found something and they did it pretty damn well.
I know Chase watched it.
Yeah, I think so.
He was telling me the soundtrack for JJK is also really
The soundtrack's elite, and the power system is one of the most unique that I've ever like encountered.
good. Yeah.
Just because the way that they describe everything, it's like it's its own rule book for each character.
Yeah.
It's kind of cool.
That is cool. Thank you,
It almost
JJK.
gives a JoJo-esque, like, fighting this guy is completely and totally different from fighting this guy, if that makes
Yeah,
sense. Like,
yeah.
there's no cross-sectionality there.
I kind of like that sometimes because
Yeah.
it keeps it fresh and you don't ever you always feel like the protagonist is in danger, but it never gets like.
Yeah, as long as it's
too-
not like I can turn your blood into Pepsi on a Tuesday and it's
Yeah.
like overly specific, then it usually works out pretty well, I've noticed.
Yeah. Well, we're about halfway through, so I say we shift gears from video games and media and start getting deep. We were talking about what we were going to discuss, and we decided that for the second half of this episode, we would talk about morals and like life values, because I think both Noah and Leif have really good takes on I don't know how to describe it, their own humanity. So I'll start with Noah. I'll ask you, because I know you're, at least in my eyes, you're really deep set in what you like to enjoy and what you want to do. So kind of give us a rundown of what you do to keep yourself up
Okay.
or so.
Yeah, I think I understand what you mean. I think the biggest part of organizing your life is your day-to-day habits, because that's what gives you general structure.
Yeah.
As somebody who did not have any general structure from the years of like 16 to 18, I can say that this shit works. I had no classes. Well, I had 2 classes every other day for my senior year of high school, so I never spent time in that building.
Yeah.
And I had to essentially take this lazy person that I was and like reshape myself for college.
Yeah.
And the biggest part of that was adding some like daily habits to kind of get myself up and going and get some momentum and figure out where to point that momentum.
Yeah.
And making your bed feels awesome.
What kind of daily habits did you implement into your life that kind of helped you make that switch?
They don't have to be big, and that's what a lot of people kind of get wrong. Like
Yeah.
not like I'm some guru who's in any position to kind of guide people, but I think a lot of people try and start a little bit too big.
Yeah.
It can be as simple as I have this green supplement that I take because I'm not too great at getting in salad every day. So I start my morning with that, and if I'm hungry, some breakfast. But no matter what, it's that and brushing my teeth. Like that is how I get up, and those are the first things that are on my mind.
Yeah.
And so it gets me out of my bed, and then once I'm out of my bed and like freshened up, I look at my bed and I'm like, oh, it's messy, and so I clean it up. And bam, that's already 3 things done to start the day, and I've got some momentum. I'm not wanting to get back into my bed because it's already nice and pretty.
Yeah.
So yeah, you can do so many like little minuscule things.
I've never thought about just focusing on making your bed. I've never thought about how making it doesn't make you want to get back into it.
Yeah.
Because I did that this morning. Even though I made my bed, I got back. Sorry. I just wanted to bring that
You
up.
sinner.
Well, that's what my girlfriend does. She has to make the bed, otherwise she'll get back in it.
Really?
Yeah.
But once it's made, she won't.
Because it's so pretty. I don't want to fuck with it.
Yeah.
I've got the room set up like all nice and laid out, so that way if I have any guests, I'm not like, oh, I need to clean. Give me 5 minutes.
That was my my New Year's resolution last year, was to make my bed every day, and I did it, and it was sick.
It feels really good.
It does feel really good. What about you, Leif? What are habits you have that keep you up?
Oh man, I don't think I have super great habits to keep me going.
Yeah.
But some things that I do day to day to kind of help myself feel accomplished is like making dinner is the biggest thing. I'll set aside some time and I'll cook for like an hour, make dinner every night.
Really, an hour?
It depends on the meal. Like some things are easy and they only take like 20 minutes. But
Yeah.
some things take more time.
You've cooked for me a lot, and you're a good cook, and that's a
Thank you.
sick skill.
Dude, being a good cook is sexy.
Yeah, it's definitely also like a trait you'd want to have to
Yeah,
be
for sure.
an attractive dude.
Not even just that, like living on your own, like being able
just
to.
cooking.
Yeah.
What kind of, focusing on cooking, what do you like to make?
Oh, being a college student, I cannot afford meat.
Yeah.
So I make a lot of really simple things like pastas and stuff.
Lots of steak.
Lots of
Lots of prime rib.
Yeah. One of my favorite things to make is stir fry. It's just so easy.
Love stir fry.
Just put some rice in a rice cooker and then chop up whatever vegetables you have in the fridge.
Some teriyaki sauce.
Throw it in the pan. I don't use teriyaki. I like to make my own sauce.
That's fair. That's
So
super
you make
fair.
your own sauce too?
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
It's easy. You just like mix together like soy sauce, maybe brown sugar,
Oof.
like oyster sauce if you ever have that.
Sounds
Um,
good.
and of course like garlic.
Yeah.
Lots and lots of pepper.
So what I'm hearing is that we're
chili
having
pepper.
dinner at Leif's house.
Probably not tonight.
Dude, that's so sick that you cooking is really cool.
Yeah.
Do you feel like cooking, setting that time aside for cooking helps you? Are you consistent at it? Like
Yeah.
you do it every night?
Pretty much every single night. And it really keeps me from like, if it's a slow day and I don't have any responsibilities, it keeps me from just like sitting down and doing nothing all day.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I know what you mean.
Gets me up and like I can keep that momentum for the rest of the night sometimes. Like if I need to do laundry and I've been putting it off,
Yeah.
I can just put the laundry in while I'm
Hmm.
cooking.
Oh, that's sick.
And it's just overall it really sets a good tone for the rest of the evening, especially if I'm eating good. And when I cook, I don't cook a lot of crap.
Yeah.
I cook pretty decent food. I
Yeah.
think it's good for me. I'm not making like salads every night, but I'm getting vegetables
Yeah,
in
of
my
course.
diet. And I think it really helps me feel good for the rest of the evening.
That's sick. I know I was gonna ask you another question about it, but oh yeah, do you only cook dinner every day, or do you?
Typically, I sleep in a lot. I kind of sleep more than I probably should. So sometimes I skip breakfast, but every now and then I'll make breakfast. I'll either just do like eggs and bacon and toast, maybe some like fried potatoes, pan fried, not like deep fried.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Or sometimes I'll make like pancakes or waffles. Yesterday I made waffles for breakfast, waffles and bacon, which, it's basically eating dessert for breakfast, but it's good. I
Yeah.
love it.
Yeah.
I've been in a pancake kick. I've made pancakes like 5 times in the last 2 weeks.
Pancakes are pretty awesome. I'll say the only reason that I am not particularly like sweet toothed anymore is because I spent like 2 years during high school eating nothing but chicken and rice. So my palate has gotten incredibly boring. And I have things like Flapjack Saturday to keep me going with, like, as far as every once in a while getting in something sweet and something that doesn't just fuel my lifts.
Yeah. How many people are you living with right now?
So I live with myself and my partner, my girlfriend. We live together, and we have another roommate, but she's never home, so it's kind of just us two.
That sounds nice.
Do you cook for her ever?
I have a couple times. She usually isn't there for dinner, though. So if I do cook for her, she'll just like reheat it later that night.
I
Oh,
get
yeah.
you. Do you have any strong opinions about this roommate?
No,
It just
nothing.
kind of exists.
Like, we're friends.
That's fair.
It's all amicable.
Yeah.
Nice.
What? What does that word mean?
Good till it gets bad.
We're all happy. We're all nice to each other.
That's good. Yeah, it's really
Speaking
good.
of other habits that I have to get through the day, other than cooking, something that I've been trying to do a lot, especially since it hasn't been too gloomy. It's not icy right now. Going out on walks really helps. I used to be a runner.
Yeah.
And running was the best. I loved it.
Gosh.
And I haven't been doing it recently, which is kind of depressing. I wish that I was.
Shame. You should be running marathons by now. Leif.
Yeah, I should. But I go on walks, which is really nice. There's a park down by the river that has a nature center. It's called the Kristen Armstrong Municipal Park.
Oh yeah.
It's just like a regular park, like just grass and trees and hundreds of squirrels. But the nature center has like a pond, a bunch of trees, and the pond is a sturgeon pond. They have
Oh, really?
sturgeon in it, which If you don't know what sturgeon are,
The big, like the dinosaurs.
they are
They're
huge
gigantic.
fish. They can get like 15 feet long.
Yeah.
Like giant.
For being freshwater animals, they're
Yeah.
ginormous.
In like
Some-
rivers and ponds.
Yeah.
No, they just chill out and lay on the ground. Right.
They swim in the deep
Okay.
of the ponds usually. Of all the times I've been to the park, I've only seen a sturgeon once, and it was incredible.
Dude.
This thing was probably like 10 feet. It was huge, and I just briefly saw it, and I was ecstatic for the rest of the week.
Dude.
Sometimes you just forget how badly nature wants to fuck you up.
Dude, yeah. There's some crazy things out there.
Like a hippopotamus. Dude, those things are like water bears. Like bears, they look cute as fuck, but like,
Yeah.
oh my
Hippos-
god.
I wouldn't say hippos are cute.
Yeah.
But they're cool.
I think hippos are cute.
Hippos are cool, and they're like thousands of pounds, right?
Yeah.
Like,
And they're literally just muscle. They don't.
gosh.
They have to walk across the bottom of riverbeds because they're too dense to float and swim.
they're just so
true.
they're just so jacked they can't swim.
Literally.
Dude, Dason Corum.
Dason
Dason
Cora.
can't swim.
Dason is. It's really funny.
I can't swim either.
But he has like a fear of putting his head underwater. I want to say it's funny, but it's really not. But it's kind of funny.
I would also be scared of swimming if I was as big as him. That'd freak me out.
Yeah. Nah, he got better at it on this trip to Thailand that we took. There was a lot of pools and stuff that we had access to, so it just took some time to get him like more familiar with it. But
Yeah.
you would not catch him like doing like cliff jumping into a lake or something like that. Like,
I never would do that.
like, have you been down
Freaks me out.
to Phelps Lake in Jackson?
No.
The one with the really big jumping rock that everyone talks about.
I've been
Oh.
into String Lake that has
Yeah,
a jumping
there's-
rock.
There's one at String
but,
Lake.
It's not huge. But I'm not a strong swimmer. I can swim,
That's fair.
but I like to say that I can't
Yeah.
just
Yeah.
because I'm not
Easier that way.
comfortable. Yeah. Like I'm afraid of like open water. But
yeah.
I would like
Subnautica.
Subnautica.
I hate Subnautica because I am terrified of like murky, dark water. And that shit is so expansive. It's like going through space, but there's shit just floating around that wants to kill you. It is terrifying. And
You're-
it's from every direction.
Yeah, dude. And especially the Leviathans and Subnautica are scary. They're freaky.
The epitome of when nature wants to fuck you up. It makes deep sea gigantism is insane.
Dude, it's so cool.
The
I
level that
think
these
it's so
creatures
cool.
get to is like
Dude, yeah.
fucking blowing me out of my seat.
recently was learning about cephalopods, which is like squid, octopuses,
Yeah.
octopods, octopi. And I think learning about animals is so cool, which kind of going back to going on walks, I do it because it's just nice to be in nature. It
Yeah.
really
Yeah, for sure.
changes your attitude on things. Like for something so simple, it makes such a difference in your life. But just like learning about these cephalopods, it's incredible how remarkable these creatures are. Especially, I love giant squid, colossal squid, giant things.
The
It's
ones
so
that
cool.
The ones that like fight the whales.
Yeah, they don't fight whales. Whales eat them. The sperm.
Oh, really?
Sperm whales dive thousands of meters underneath the ocean, and then they hunt giant squid.
Okay, so
And
they're
eat them.
So they're the prey.
Yeah.
I thought they were the prey.
They fight back.
They fight
of
back,
course,
yeah.
but
Oh, yeah, yeah.
they aren't. They aren't very successful all the time.
Yeah.
Sometimes they are, especially like the colossal squid. They've got hooks that they
Yeah.
can like stab the sperm whales with.
I think I heard something about the colossal squid hasn't been photographed yet, right?
I don't think that they've seen a live one. I'm not sure. They definitely have seen maybe one or two live giant squid, but I don't know if they've seen a live colossal squid.
Yeah, I think that's like the current consensus as far as the scientific community is concerned.
Because doesn't it just swim so deep? Like,
Yeah, at a certain point, it gets too... Okay, so there is a zone at a certain depth where
Midnight zone.
Yes, where the pressure is so extreme that it will like basically start tearing your cells apart. So even organisms that are like designed to be able to withstand this like deep sea pressures,
Yeah.
it's just impossible for life to exist down there and to like maintain homeostasis.
Yeah.
So you don't find anything down there. But even above that, like the pressure's still so insane that you need like hundreds of thousands of dollars put in, or millions on occasion, and put into these insanely durable exploration apparatus. And it's
Yeah.
just the amount of time and effort and money and people that it takes to get a project like that going. It's no fucking wonder we know nothing about the sea.
Yeah.
It's pretty crazy. I just looked it up. They have photographed and filmed living colossal squid,
Really?
but never deep underwater. They've never seen them in their own habitat.
Okay.
But they have seen
We
a
know
couple
for a
giant
fact
squid
that
in their
they
habitat.
exist.
Yes,
Have you? Is there a video of the colossal squid? that they
probably
found?
somewhere.
Dude, that's crazy.
But yeah, it's like a colossal squid that found itself up at the surface for some reason.
Oliver, we
I was
need a
just there.
Jamie in here.
Jamie, look that up. Rock me, Jamie.
Keyboard noises.
Dude, yeah, animals are crazy.
Yeah, nature is pretty cool. I do get what you mean about like just kind of exposing that yourself to that every once in a while to kind of refresh, reset, reorient, and get yourself into more of that like organic mindset, if that makes any sense whatsoever.
Getting some fresh air.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think something that's really significant about it, especially if you're just out there and you're not like doing a hard hike or like running or doing sports, if you're just like walking around out there, it really like your blood's pumping through your body, but you're not exerting yourself. You're just full recovery mode.
Yeah.
Everything in your body's just like resetting. Your muscles are fixing themselves. They're getting blood flow. Your lungs are filled with oxygen.
Yeah.
It's really incredible how little of that we actually end up getting a lot of the time, because we're either
Yeah.
sitting or we're exercising. There's
Yeah.
not a lot of in between. We're either sitting inside, exercising in a fluorescent lights gym. We're never like outside walking or standing.
That is something that I'm really grateful for college for, because I really liked to go on hikes back in Teton Valley, and that was kind of like my foray into like just general cardiovascular health instead of like intense exercise and like fluorescent lights and like indoors and shit like that. But being on a college campus has made me walk fucking everywhere.
Yeah.
And especially once
Yeah.
the weather started to get worse and things started to get wetter, I just kind of forgot that my skateboard existed. And so I ended up getting like 20,000 steps in a day, like on average.
Which
So
feels great.
It
It
feels
does.
good. Like
Walking
just,
is so good.
just walking around. And I didn't realize until I started walking so much how good it is for your digestion.
Oh,
'Cause
yeah.
I've
Oh
my
always had like
gosh.
some kind of moderate underlying like gastrointestinal issues. Like nothing serious enough for me to see a doctor,
Yeah.
but something that's been consistent enough to where I know that there's something wrong. And walking before and after my meals has been a game changer.
No, and I'm not doing it as extremely as Noah, but we're both trying to put on weight, and we've both been eating a lot of burgers.
So many burgers.
And burgers aren't very good for you.
And they're super greasy, and there's a lot of carbs.
Greasy burgers, and we also get ice cream. And we'll go to the food hall, and we'll walk all the way to the food hall, eat 3 burgers, like a pound of ice cream, and then we'll walk back. And by the time you walk back, you don't even feel it,
Yeah.
because the
It's
walking,
like I'm ready to hit the gym. I'm
Yeah.
ready to get on with my day.
the walking just like churns it right through.
It's crazy how the human body, is designed to work well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You just need to actually,
Use these systems instead of
Doing-
neglect them.
Yeah, doing things that humans have done forever is like one of the best ways to be healthy, I
And
think.
It's crazy because all of these, I think looks maxing is one of the funniest trends to ever surface. You guys can't see it right now, but Leif is mewing.
He's doing some jaw exercises.
And me and Oliver were talking about this, how a lot of the habits that they preach and a lot of these tips and tricks and biohack is especially one of the buzzwords that they use. A lot of the biohacks are literally just being a healthy human being with like generally good habits that are easy to upkeep and stuff that makes you feel good on a daily basis.
Yeah. And it's just like, you know, eat carrots.
Drink water.
drink water, eat bananas, eat carrots, breathe through your nose.
Maybe hit the gym every once in a while,
Yeah, yeah.
and like go on some walks too, and you're chilling.
And I think it's a cool thing is I don't know who I was listening to, but they were talking and they were really scholarly, so I believed them. But with human evolution in mind, you can get all sorts of the extremes of each side of let me restart. After human evolution went through, you can find extreme groups of people that sided with one side of evolution or the other. Where humans originated in Africa. Like there's all sorts of, in Africa, there's tribes where everyone's super tall.
And there's tribes where people are on average 5 feet tall.
Yeah,
I know exactly what you're talking
short.
about.
There's people that are huge, just like beasts of people. And it's really crazy because living like, I've been saying living raw recently, and living as raw as possible is one way to not only be healthy, but you also look like better.
You do definitely look better.
If we didn't eat, sorry, I keep re-bringing up points, but we eat so much like gross processed foods that if we ate like hearty meat,
Dude,
and, like,
having a
fruit,
fresh cooked like chicken soup. I had chicken and duck and dumplings at a friend's house the other night, like just some family friends, and it was the most refreshed I've felt after a meal in the past 2 months.
Yeah.
And I can say 2 months confidently because it's been 2 months since I've had a home cooked meal from my mom.
Yeah. Yeah, but like the habits that humans have been living with, like being in nature and like working your body in the elements instead of like in a fluorescent light lit gym, and eating raw foods and being raw is just a key to like.
Dude, I love ramen.
Yeah. Whoa.
What?
Sorry, I don't even know if it's going to be like coherent what I just said. In my mind, it sounded so much cooler than like when it came out of my mouth.
No, I think that works.
Speaking of tangents, mindset is arguably more important than habits, in my opinion. I just kind of been resting in the back of my mind, like, of course you go and you hit the gym and you cook dinner every night and you take your greens in the morning or whatever, but it's the why that underlines it that gives it such impact. Like just kind of eating meat because you recognize that it's better for your brain and your heart, and having a healthy source of polyunsaturated fats in your diet because you understand that your gut microbiome needs certain things. Just like understanding how these things work together and why it's good to do certain things in conjunction with each other. Sorry, that was long-winded.
No, I get that. I think that having like the right mindset makes all the difference. I have a philosophy class that I'm in right now, which is kind of fun.
Yeah.
And some of the moral beliefs that some people have is like it's not the action itself that is moral or immoral, but the intention behind it. So like if you see something going on and someone's in trouble and you act with the intention to help them, but it actually makes it worse because they weren't actually in trouble. Some people might say like, well, that wasn't an immoral act. You just, like, what you did was right. It just happened to be like wrong in that situation.
Yeah.
But like, you're still a good person because you were doing with the intention. You had the mindset of being helpful.
The application of things versus the intention. It's kind of what me and Oliver were talking about last episode for those recurring listeners about things being either a what was the diction that I used? It was either a feature or a bug. That's it.
Yeah, we were talking about how like I hate making this comparison, but I did it last episode, and kind of like in Super Smash Brothers Melee, the features of the game and the bugs of the game that became features. I would make that comparison.
Oh man.
But yeah, I do love talking about mindset. I do think it's super important, and I want to ask you guys what are mindsets you guys use to keep yourself going?
The first thing that I do when something so mindset isn't really useful when things are going right. Of course, you need to know how to direct your momentum.
Yeah.
But that's kind of it. Like when things are going right, that's where you want to be. There's not problems. When things are going wrong, that's when mindset becomes like kind of paramount. So whenever I think of healthy mindsets to implement, my mind immediately goes to something that I saw off of an Andrew Huberman podcast. And it was essentially that things don't seem nearly as bad when you imagine that it goes down like this all the time. Like, let's say you have a really nice flannel shirt. You spent $150 on it. It's linen, it's Versace, whatever the fuck. And when it goes through the dryer, it gets all wrinkly, it gets all tight, and it gets all fucked up in some way that you weren't expecting. If that's just how flannels work when they go through the dryer, then it's, oh, I messed up. Now I know very well not to do that the next time I buy a flannel. But if it's like, oh man, this bad thing happened to me and only me, it's like, ah, shit, this like really sucks. And it kind of like perpetuates itself into this worse situation that it ended up being.
So do you apply that mindset into when things go wrong in your mind, you just say, I know it went wrong now and I know it could happen again, so I just will try my best to avoid it again.
Yeah, it's like in part being prepared for those things to go wrong again, and in part being okay that they went wrong in the first place.
Yeah. What about you, Leif? What's a mindset you like to use?
I like to having like a balance between forward thinking and like present thinking about what's happening right now. Like when things aren't going as you want it, you can think about, like I like to think about, well, this is happening this way as a means to the end of me being happy in the future. So like this thing that just happened to me, this sucks really bad.
Yeah.
But if this didn't happen, then I won't be where I want to be in the future.
Kind of taking a look at the meta narrative of what's going on.
Yeah. But like other times, that doesn't help because you don't want to be thinking about the future. You want to you need to be focused. You need to be in the now.
Yeah.
And you can just think about how, I like to think about what's going on right now is just like, it's just a thing. It's not my future. What's happening right now is just what's happening right now. So kind of the opposite of thinking about the future. You can just live life acting like it's just life, because that's what it is.
Dude, those were some bars.
Sometimes living in the present moment can be one of the hardest things to accomplish.
That was really like awe-inspiring. Thank you, Leif.
Going back to like being out in nature, I think that's a place to be where it becomes easy to just be in the present moment.
Yeah. Because it's just like, that's just where you is.
Yeah. You're surrounded by so many different like sensory things that you can experience. And so it's kind of like hard to look to the future.
You're right.
You just are in the moment.
When we like tend to focus on a lot of one thing, like being on our phones a lot or logging on homework a lot, and it's easy to focus on that thing, but there's so much room in your brain that you can also focus on whatever's going to happen in the future. So I'm just guessing this because I'm not nearly as diverse in walking in nature as you probably are, but it just seems like it would be a good way to overload your senses and just be like, you're just right here.
Yeah. Something that you like hear sometimes is like if someone's having a panic attack or something, what you can do is give them something sour or like put ice on their chest.
Really?
And it'll like shock them out of it. Which I don't know if that's true, but I've heard it a couple times.
Just kind of get their senses away from the moment.
Yeah, and I feel like being in nature can kind of do the same thing. Like it's a break from the human experience. It's the real human experience.
Yeah.
A break from the human experience to be in the real human experience.
Oh my gosh, that was so good.
That's a bar. Leif.
That was really good.
Leif, that is a bar.
And that is the perfect note to end on because we are out of time. Thank you guys for listening so much. And thank you, Leif, for being a guest.
Thanks for having me. It was a pleasure.
We absolutely loved our time talking to you.
Yeah.
Ladies and gentlemen, this was episode 3 of the Concrete Clappas, our first time with a other person to bounce this bullshit off of.
Yeah. Thank you all so much for listening, and we will see you in the next episode.